Diamonds green like the autographed Keyshawn Johnson jersey when he used to not want to play for the Jets. Louis Vuitton bedsheet sets. For my next butterscotch bad bitch guests that would rather argue or have sex. I guess it's just easy to be famous online than really famous in person. I had to skip the paparazzi kept lurking. I had to leave the movie set of Tommy Boy 2 because they tried to pay in cash, but I'm only paid in jewels. Kia ora, and welcome along to the Guy and Harley podcast. My name is Harley Neville.
And I'm Guy Pigton. Who was that?
That monstrosity was Riff Raff in the song Tiptoe 4. Now, the issue here that I have, the beef I've got, is that it's actually a really good song with Yelawolf. So it's this quite cool, catchy song with Yelawolf that I like. I like all of it. And then this goober, Riff Raff, I have no idea who this person is, but this person comes on the end with his verse and he can't fucking rap and he just ruins the whole song. And it's like, you read the lyrics and it's like, man, it would have been so much easier. You know, like I could make that rhyme. But that's not what he does, and that's not how he raps. And so I have done absolutely no research, but I speculate that he's just some rich guy who just paid to have Yelawolf on a song and paid for a nice beat, and then was like, I'm a rapper now. That's my thoughts on who Riff Raff must be.
Well, I don't know who the fuck he is.
Well, it's quite a good song. Tiptoe 4. Tiptoeing through the jewelry store, Christian Dior, something or other. Go check it out. Spotify. Tiptoe 4, Yelawolf. And then you'll recognize that Riff Raff rapping at the end there. Whoever this bum is. It pisses me off.
That was the closest you've come to a pure hip-hop lyrics in the entirety of the Guy and Harley podcast.
That's nonsense. I opened with Dr. Dre the other day. Absolute dribble. I do heaps of hip-hop lyrics. I generally do hip-hop lyrics. That was the rule. That was how it started.
Or profanity-laden relating to heinous acts.
Well, what about all the mumble rap that I quote?
I feel like that's the heinous acts one. I mean, I don't remember any one of your rappers really just rapping about being rich and shit.
No.
Apart from that one that you just did.
Those topics don't usually appeal to me, you see. I like something a bit more conscious. Something a bit more thoughtful. Thought-inducing.
Yeah. Well, welcome along in a week because we tried to do a podcast and then got...
Yeah. It's too tired for these guys.
So we're all set for a podcast, and we got a bit sleepy. We're running some tests. The tests didn't really go very well.
We made progress.
We gave up, went to sleep.
We made some progress. We did make some progress. But yeah, the tests tucking us out, really. Trying to figure out how to get Zoom as a source, get Zoom as an NDI source on OBS so that we can use Zoom instead of Skype and see if that's better. It really tuckered us out, though, that did, or that hard yakka.
So we're coming to you. Also, I get tuckered out drinking these 2 beers.
Yeah.
For the podcast.
Yeah. Well, that could happen, right? 2 beers is just the perfect amount to put the man to bed.
2 beers, and what does that say? It's to the wind or whatever it is. What does that say?
I can't say I've heard that one, Guy. You'll have to explain it all to us. 2 sheets to the wind.
I'm going to look that up right now.
Well, that sounds good. Well, while you do that...
Slang, extremely drunk, most likely derived from nautical terminology.
And what's the saying?
In which a sheet, 2 sheets to the wind.
2 sheets to the wind. Oh, that guy, he's really 2 sheets to the wind.
In which a sheet is the rope that controls the sails of a tall ship. If several sheets are loose or mishandled, the boat's movement becomes unsteady and difficult to control, like that of a drunk person.
So he's got 2 sheets to the wind. He's not just had, if he had like 1 beer, he'd have 1 sheet to the wind.
Out of control.
Yeah. Yeah, two sheets to the wind. There you go. You learn something new every day on the Guy and Harley podcast.
I also did not purchase these beers. These beers were given to me as a gift for my contributions. As we mentioned off air, I filmed a TV show over the weekend, a Pacifica TV show, talking to sort of, I guess, popular is not quite the right word, but significant or people of importance within the Pacifica culture and industry, and talking about their experiences here in New Zealand. And it was pretty fast. It was the first TV show that I'd ever filmed. It was my first time being the director of photography of a TV show, and it was high stress environment where we were recording with 3 cameras all at once. And
who was directing?
What I came to realize,
not you,
one of the people that was also producing the show, Ezra. He was in charge directing it. So I was just cameraman / DOP on it, which, some might say I'm not qualified to do. Some might really say I'm not qualified for that level of...
Nobody's qualified for anything. You just get in there and figure it out.
Some people actually do have qualifications that mean they're specifically qualified for something.
La-dee-da.
So that's all I'm saying. But what you realize is that when you're shooting with 3 cameras, you're like, wow. Normally I just have to worry about one thing going wrong. Now I kind of have to worry about 3 things going wrong at any time.
Yeah.
And keeping your sort of mind on all of those 3 things can be definitely a little bit stressful.
Typically, you wouldn't have one person with running 3 cameras.
Well, I had minders of the other 2 cameras, right. But that's not really the same. If, for instance, if something goes wrong with those cameras, those people can't necessarily fix them. And also, if like a guest were to move out of shot or something, I'm not 100% confident that those people could fix the camera and move it. So they're
people
sort of really
no good at panning and tilting, eh?
Well, I mean, you just can't trust people when things kind of go a bit sideways on manual cameras, to necessarily be able to course correct. So that's what I did on my weekend. A good solid 24 hours of work over the weekend. What about yourself?
Oh, well, I was filming a wedding, actually. So that was a good... Well, actually, it wasn't just a wedding. It was a live stream, because the future is here, right? What was happening in this wedding was that the wedding itself was actually in Melbourne, and here I was in New Zealand at a fancy hotel, and we were watching the live stream in New Zealand of the wedding over there. But at the same time, we were also sending back a 2-camera feed back to Melbourne, and we were going to screens there at the wedding, so the people at the wedding could see us as well. So...
What a fucking waste of time.
A lot of money, but to be honest, it did kind of make you feel a lot more like you were there. It did make it seem, especially with the technology nowadays, like it was a pretty good feed and all that type of thing. Plus, these people obviously had a fair amount of cheddar because it was pretty fancy. Everything was fancy. The whole thing was fancy. So, yeah, that was what I did. And one lady there actually said that she recognized me from Hinge. She had seen me on Hinge. Sorry, the Hinge.
Seeing you prowling on Hinge.
Well, she saw me on there. I certainly don't prowl. I don't even go on any dates. I just match with them and then don't talk to them. That's my usual strategy at the moment. Match with them, don't
strategy.
Talk, don't bother meeting with them.
It's worked well so far. It's paid off.
Yeah, well, one started talking to me a while back ago and then unmatched me, and I was like, oh, look, I can't handle this type of rejection. Unmatched me before we met. I was like, oh, Christ. I can't handle this. Why would you unmatch me? Literal unmatch.
Well, because you said stuff that was fucking boring to her. She found you an uninteresting person.
Yeah, well, that's probably it.
That's
Probably it. But that doesn't change the fact that doesn't take away from. I mean, if anything, it makes it worse. You know, it doesn't make Hinge a more pleasant place, does it? It's like, well, I can't help it if she's not interested in what I'm interested in, or you know, I can't be expected to be more interesting by a text somehow. You know, within reason.
Wow.
I mean, it's not like
you could maybe go easy on the World War II doco talk.
I don't talk about World War II until at least the second date.
You could maybe ease off on hashtag Harley's
Hitler moment. It's actually Harley Shitler moment. It's hashtag Harley Shitler moment. I don't talk about Hitler until at least the second date, Guy. I'll have you know.
We need to study all people in history.
Yeah, well, you do.
We need to study significant events. We need to analyze these people.
See what we can learn going forward. It does help you in your day-to-day life to look back.
Okay. What has Hitler taught you?
To believe in myself and have ambition.
And for your dreams.
Never give up on your dreams.
That's what Hitler's taught
That's
you.
a lesson there, right? Never give up on your dreams. Here he was, this guy, living on the streets, an out of work artist who somehow came to be the most influential person in the world that year, or during those years, and you know,
picked himself up
and was
with his bootstraps,
commanding generals and so on, and the nobility, Prussian nobility. Here's this essentially, you know, common street rat who is now commanding these people in some way. Not just commanding them, but commanding them to the point where the Third Reich compresses down to being 300 meters wide around the fucking Reichstag, and Hitler's in there, and people are still fighting for him. How do you do that? And the answer, in his case, was a unwavering conviction that he was meant to be this special thing. And it doesn't matter whether it's based on reality or not. His delusion was he had this unswerving belief, unwavering belief that he was destined for something great, and that's what pushed him on through. And that's really interesting. So that's what Hitler can teach you about following your dreams. You know, again, I'd like to point out, I don't condone the man's. He was an evil person. I don't agree with his beliefs in any way, shape, or form. I'm a liberal lefty. He would have had me killed by now. Hitler would have had me killed by now. But nevertheless, I do think there's something to be gained from studying the most notorious antagonist in history.
You don't think you could listen to Robbins tape for something to get that same insight?
Here's the thing, man. I prefer to go to the source because Tony Robbins will only be teaching you Hitler's tricks. See what I mean? They just water that shit down so you don't know you're learning it. You know, you don't know the source.
Tony Robbins studied Hitler for many years.
I bet he did. I bet he knows. I bet he could tell you a thing or two about Hitler. Chase your dreams, people.
Never give up on your dreams.
No, but if your dreams if your dreams are evil and involve hurting people in any way, then you should give up on your dreams. But otherwise, don't give up on your dreams, people. Hitler. So that's good to start the show with a episode of
both the Hitler nevermore.
Episode of hashtag Harley Shitler moment.
Harley Shitler moment.
But yeah, so she saw me on Hinge, and I was like, well, did we match? And she was like, nah. But then she was flirting with me and very friendly for the entire evening.
Yeah.
Got my phone number. So.
Has she heard anything from that?
Yeah, she texts me.
Really?
Really? Yep. There's been some texting.
That's surprising.
Yeah. No. She.
Because what normally happens is people will get your number and then they won't text you, and then you'll go, "Why didn't I at least just get their number also?"
Yeah.
Rather than leaving it up to them, which they will never ever deliver
me straight
on.
Away on the day. Bam, just like that. But
So what's going to happen now?
well, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Probably not much. She's a leggy blonde. She's a leggy blonde. You know me. Don't really go for the leggy blondes.
You like them short and stout.
Not short for sure. But yes, so there you go. It's a little hint into my personal life, but that was a nice. It was good for my self-esteem. Get me up off the ground. You know, have somebody notice me. That was nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, because you did say to me off here, a gentleman never kisses and towels. Is this what you never kiss and tell about? What you just told?
Yes. Yeah. So that is that story. And what else you got?
Not another story. No other story. It's maybe about someone different that you were gonna kiss.
Oh no, definitely not. There's nobody different. I'm a one trick pony. I'm an incel at the moment, and believe me, it's cold out here. It's a desert.
So cold. I have been watching. I don't know if you've heard about the hashtag release the Snyder cut.
Well, I sort of picked up on the edges of it that there's like a 4-hour cut of some movie, some children's movie, and
Justice League.
Yeah, that's the one, and that it's 4 hours long, and
4 and a bit.
And
I
that's
think.
his Snyder must be the director, I guess.
Zack Snyder is the director. Yeah. So basically, what happened is Zack Snyder was the guy behind the remake of Dawn of the Dead. Remember that?
In the mall and all that with the baby zombie.
Yeah.
The baby zombie. I feel like that wasn't bad. I feel like that wasn't a bad film.
Yeah, it was good.
I feel like I liked that.
He was off to the races with that one, and it was kind of a guy like the new dude, and then he released. I'm just trying to remember the name of his other film because it was absolutely terrible. It's so terrible I've tried to purge it from my mind. But what is it called? Filmography. Here we go. Sucker Punch. Do you remember that one?
Was it some sort of superhero film or something? Like a comedy?
It's kind of like a fantasy action film.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was like girls dressed up in kind of sexy uniforms, like fighting things, and it was terrible. It might have been the worst thing to ever happen.
Right.
But from after that, he rebounded with Man of Steel, the new Superman reboot, and then Batman vs Superman, and then Justice League.
Yeah.
And he was kind of put in charge of DC's version of, the Avengers, right? They wanted to do what Marvel did for DC, Warner Brothers did. And so he made Man of Steel and people were like, yeah. And then he made Batman vs Superman and people were like, I guess, but pretty bad. And then he made Justice League. But what happened is on Justice League, unfortunately, he dealt with a family tragedy. I think it was his daughter committed suicide or something like that. And so he left the project for completing it, and they brought in the guy that actually directed the Avengers, Joss Whedon, to finish making the film. But basically, Joss Whedon was I'm just going to do all the things that I want. And so there was a clash of tones because it's what started off as kind of like this dark superhero film, got then Whedonified to a more comedy thing, and they had Superman's mustache CG'd off because the actor came back for reshoots, but they couldn't get rid of his mustache, so they had to paint it out, and it looked weird, and there was a whole big
thought they
thing.
decided just to shoot the whole film with the mustache, and then they're like, yeah, Superman can have a mustache. No, as in because he had another role. He had another role, and then and he had a mustache for that, and they're like, well, sweet as, we'll just shoot Superman with a mustache, and then so they shot the movie with Superman with a mustache, and then they were like, actually, this is a shit idea, and the fans are angry. Let's get rid of the mustache, and then they CG'd it all out.
What happened is he got called back for these reshoots, so he'd already shot the whole film. So he only
sometimes has a mustache.
And so for these Joss Whedon reshoots, he put he couldn't get rid of the mustache because he was filming Mission Impossible at the same time. And so they're like, contractually, you can't lose your mustache for these Superman pickups because we need the mustache for Mission Impossible, the Mission Impossible mustache. And so he was like, well, what can I do, guys? And they're like, don't worry. We've got computer technology. We can just paint it out. No one will ever notice. It'll look absolutely fine. And then it didn't.
Right.
And so one of the kind of tells of where reshoots kicked in was Superman's weird fucking mouth from the removal of the mustache. And that was already one of the
Couldn't they have just put like a little bit of green tape over his mustache or something?
Well, they probably did.
And then just like do something.
That's probably what they did.
Yeah. Tyler Adams will know.
He'd know how to get rid of that
Shout out
mustache.
Tyler Adams.
So anyway, he left the project. He didn't have, final say, and allegedly they weren't happy with the direction it was going when he left either. And then and then Justice League came out, and everyone universally hated it. And they're like, it's the worst of them all because the tone is all uneven and shit doesn't make sense, and there's all these gaps and things, the logic, etc., etc. And so then Zack Snyder, who was just sitting at home with his feet up, was kind of like, well, I actually still have a first cut of my cut, which is way different to the cut that you guys have.
But what about all this?
Hashtag release the Snyder cut. And then a couple of the actors retweeted his hashtag release the Snyder cut. And then he started releasing like some photos of some film reels and like a photo of like, an image from the Thing, because lots of people didn't originally think that it was like real, that, all that stuff was gone. And he was like, no, I've still got it. And so he kind of built momentum. Like this is, the internet kind of being sort of manipulated, I suppose, or internet fandom being manipulated, because through these kind of cryptic tweets and kind of sharing these things occasionally, eventually all this kind of groundswell of support for hashtag release the Snyder cut led to them actually going, okay, so what is it going to take for you to make the Snyder cut? And he was like, not much, just an extra $30 million. And they were like, yeah, cool. Well, let's do that then. And so what's happened is they've released the Snyder cut of Justice League. It's just came out a couple of days ago on HBO Max, which is their new streaming service, which they want to get more subscribers for. And so this is going to be kind of their flagship thing to bring people in. And so obviously the new cut is 4 hours long, which it could never have been if it was released in the cinema. And people were kind of like, it's actually not too bad.
Yeah, but who wants to watch 4 hours of it?
Well, I've watched the first 2 hours.
Yeah.
So far, and it is better. There's no doubt it is better.
I didn't know you had HBO Max, guy.
Oh, I do, mate. It's on Neon.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. And I've got Neon. I own Neon.
You've got one Neon.
So I've got one Neon. I bought it. So that's how I have the Snyder cut.
Right. Okay. Clear. Got it.
So anyway, I watched half of it and I was like, yeah, it's all right. It is slightly better. Is it $30 million better?
Yeah.
Is it all this?
Well, that's just a
for
business
3 or 4
decision.
years.
So it's definitely $30 million.
Yeah, but is it? 3 or 4 years of working the fans into a fury about
Yeah.
it, or a furor about
Yeah.
it, or a furor if it's hashtag Harley's Hitler moment
It's
again.
hashtag Guy's Hitler moment right there.
Um,
I would
but
like to
getting
point out
them all
that you
worked
are the
up.
one that brought up Hitler this episode, not me. That was you.
Uh, so anyway, they released it. I've seen half of it so far. It's all right. But one thing that really bothered me, and I know this will upset you too,
Mm-hmm.
Harley, is there's this very cool shot, right, where Aquaman is walking along a pier, and there's all big waves crashing around him, and he's got his top off. It's Jason Momoa, and he's looking all sexy with his top
Mm-hmm.
off. I could just stop there and you'd say you'd like it, but I'll just continue. So the waves are crashing and they've got a special song, like it's kind of like it. They each get it like a little song. Each Justice League member gets a song, but he's finishing a bottle of whiskey, and he just finishes the last drops of the whiskey, and then he smashes the bottle of whiskey on the pier and then is engulfed by the sea. And I was like, what in the fuck is going on here? Think about this. Aquaman talks to the fish. That's one of his special powers. He talks to fish. His safe haven, his land is being destroyed by litter and microplastics. Do you know how much microplastic Aquaman must have eaten by now? Like, he's swallowed so many microplastics, and yet he ever have the audacity to smash glass that's going to wash out to sea and cut up his brothers, his fish brothers, and maybe one of his fish friends would eat that glass that he just smashed. It's just completely out of character.
It is out of character. It is.
And it promotes littering.
And it promotes alcoholism as well. It is kind of a weird thing to have, because it's not like he's like, you understand when you see Wolverine drinking, because you're like, he's a washed out bum. He's a down and out, he hates life and all that type of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you see him drinking, you're like, well, that's part of his character. That's a flaw. That's a real world flaw that this character has. But Aquaman, what is he fucking sitting under the water drinking at the underwater whiskey bar?
Well, just to me, I was just like,
why would he drink it straight from the bottle? I drink whiskey straight from the bottle.
He took it out from the bar. He took the whole thing. He took it out from the bar and walked out.
He stumbles out of a bar.
He was in a mood.
He stumbles out of a bar.
We didn't stumble.
Drinking whiskey, and then he smashes it
on the ground.
He wasn't two
sheets to the wind. He wasn't two sheets to the wind. And he smashes it basically into the water. To me, I was just like, Aquaman is going to be the most conscientious person. He's seen the real world effects of climate change too, let's not forget. But he, of all people, understands the pollution that's happening in the waterways.
I mean, he was drunk.
Smash a bottle.
He was drunk, but you're right. He wouldn't.
It doesn't matter if he's drunk.
No, I agree. He would have to be pretty drunk.
He would have had to have a very embarrassing conversation with his fish friends after that. After his fish friends
with his mermaid
seen
girlfriend.
him do that.
Yeah.
His fish mates.
Sea glass is kind of nice though. When you find some nice smooth
well, it
sea
is
glass,
when it's all sand down after it's been through the body of several fish that accidentally swallowed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I threw a glass bottle into the ocean once.
Oh, you're a hard man.
I threw it. This is illegal. I threw it off the back of a cruise ship late at night, one night between Costa Rica and the coast of Florida. And within this wine bottle, which was corked up, was a message. On each side of the paper was written a message from me in English and a message from my friend in Spanish. Just saying, I don't know, about current affairs at that time, I guess, and who I was and what I was doing and, what date it was. And then threw it in the water. Discreetly, covertly at night, because obviously you're not allowed to throw things off the ship. So I had to sneak down to the back of the engine, where the back of the ship was late at night, and just, discreetly kind of hoik it over the edge and hope there was no cameras there. I couldn't see any cameras, but I assume there was.
what was it? Was a message in there.
So there's a message in a bottle that me and my friend wrote.
Okay.
Yeah. So that might be found by now. Could be.
Yeah.
Or it'll be another 100 years.
Sounds like man to me.
Yeah. Well, look, we all make mistakes.
Yeah.
I didn't feel too bad
But
because it was glass. I was like, if this is a plastic bottle, which would be a way smarter vessel. If you're going to throw anything in the ocean with a message in it, you should throw a plastic bottle, not a glass bottle, right? Because it's going to last for 1,000,000 years. But
yeah,
my glass one's probably been hit by the next cruise ship already.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably been smashed and eaten by many fish by now.
Maybe. I did choose a sturdy wine bottle, but yes.
That's my big takeaway from the first half of Justice League, the irresponsible nature of Aquaman. Because they just did it, like, because see, if this was me, right, and I was that actor, I'd be like, I don't really think Aquaman should really litter. And they go, no, just do it, because it's going to be a real cool visual. You're a badass, You're throwing the bottle down after having the last sip. I think I would have flatly refused.
They could have fixed it just by having one, instead of having it throw it on the ground, have the water comes up, and then the final shot is the bottle just spinning in place on the concrete. So it didn't actually go in the water, and it didn't break.
Yeah. But that's the thing, the waves are crashing. They were knocking anything off that was going to be on that pier.
Right. Got it.
There's no chance that it was formed. But, so I'll be writing a very strongly worded letter to Zack Snyder about that one.
Yeah. Well, I'll be avoiding his movie like the plague. That's what I'll be doing.
I'll have an update. I will have finished the second half of Justice League. I mean, there is another thing, which is like, you recut everything. Cool. But essentially, how different is it really going to be?
Yeah.
And in the first half, it's like, there's some extra things going on for sure. Some things make a bit more sense for sure. But ultimately, it's the same fucking story, which everyone shit on. So shouldn't we all just shit on it again?
You just have to wait and see, mate. It's a bit like Asylum versus Harrow.
What do you mean?
We re-edited the same project and retold the same
Yeah, but did everyone really shit on the
they never shat on. Nobody shat on either of them. They were both very popular. We're talking about Harrow, our horror web series, and Asylum, the short film recut of it, both of which are viewable on the internet.
Maybe we shit on Asylum.
Yeah, well, it's better than Harrow. Yeah, Asylum's better than Harrow.
Yeah, maybe we shit on Harrow a little bit.
Now, I did get an update about the Olympics this year in Japan, and it looks like it's all going ahead still, and that I am still going to the Olympics, all official. That's still happening as far as I can see. But I got given a playbook with a bunch of extra information, which was very useful. And there's a new one out coming soon with a bunch of updates. But it's not going to be quite the journey I had hoped it was going to be. I sort of thought it was going to be like going over there, going to cool bars in Tokyo, and maybe forming a bond with some beautiful local Japanese women, and being a tourist and working a few hours a day, but and just enjoying the atmosphere and the culture, and it was all going to be very, very exciting. And now I am still going, but it is post-COVID. It's a post-COVID world now, and things have changed. And so basically, it looks like I'm a prisoner. I'm going to arrive at the airport. I cannot stop to get a candy bar on my way through. I've got to go directly to my transports. And then from my transport, I'll have a mask on the entire time. And then on my transport, I then go to my village or my hotel, which is I'm not allowed to leave. I'm not allowed to go anywhere else. And then from there, I go to where I'm working. And then I'm taken back to the hotel type thing. So where I'm working is I'm putting graphics on the sailing at the Olympics in a place called Enoshima. So it's not going to be quite the fun thing I thought it was. And so basically my bubble is going to be the people that I work directly with. So yeah, I won't be having sex with any beautiful women in Japan, sadly. But I sort of thought that's okay because I could still have sex with the beautiful athletes at the Olympics. You see, because my workplace is where they're competing. So they could potentially. I'm not leaving my I'm not running around the city or anything like that. I'm where I'm supposed to be. So you never know. Maybe these athletes will be interested in being seduced by a short bald guy, completely non-athletic, hairy
short,
man,
bald, unathletic man. The opposite
of
them.
them. Sometimes opposites attract.
It's true.
And so maybe that could happen. But then I kept reading the playbook, and it said that I must keep 2 meters away from the athletes at all times. Yeah. Fortunately, I've found a workaround. You see, it's luckily my penis is slightly over 2 meters long. So I figured out a way to make that work still. I wear it around my waist like a belt. Keep my trousers up, you see. And so, yeah, that's what's going to be happening there. And I assume that my colleagues are going to be, no offense to our to our broadcasting listeners. In my experience, most broadcasters seem to be, middle-aged men. So, that's not entirely true, but I can imagine the crew being a bunch of middle-aged men and me. That's what I'm picturing. So,
yeah,
you never know. But on the upside, I am going to be getting this is in no way confirmed, but I would there would be forces in place hoping to see if I can get vaccinated early, because I'm representing the country, and I'm helping the country. We can't broadcast without me. The Japanese, they need me in Japan. There's 5 million people there, or 10 million people there, or 20 million people, or 15 million, I think, people there, whatever it is, and they need to fly Harley Neville over from New Zealand. And if I don't go over there, the graphics don't go on the sailing, and the New Zealand public miss out. So I'm doing a service to the country. So you never know.
You're a frontline worker.
I'm a frontline worker.
You're a class as a frontline worker. You're a class as an essential, exactly. So you'll be getting the vaccine before a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, I'll certainly try.
Man, that is going to be a really dull, boring
absolutely,
trip.
Because then I've got to do 2 weeks of quarantine when I get back. 2 weeks of isolation when I get back to New Zealand.
Now, that's right. Now, have they said, like, you'll be paid for those 2 weeks of quarantine?
No, they'll pay for the quarantine, which is $5,100 now in New Zealand to stay for 2 weeks at MIQ, the Ministry of...
Oh, we'll get to do a podcast from quarantine.
Well, yeah, we will. Assuming that they have the internet in those hotels. I assume they do. So, yeah, we'll do one from Japan and one from quarantine. Or maybe we'll do quite a few from quarantine. Because I'll be bored as fuck. I won't have anything to talk about. I'll talk about the minutiae, I guess.
No. Well, I guess you just analyze the quarantine protocols, what you can and can't do.
Yeah.
So I guess what's interesting about that is what you consider to be a grand, not a holiday, a working holiday, I suppose, but certainly a hell of an adventure. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Graphics by day, wild Tokyo nights. Crazy Asian robot bars.
Exactly.
Crazy Asian robots.
Yeah. Exactly.
That you would be trying to sleep with. Welcome to the future.
Yeah.
And yet
maybe.
Now
never say never.
Whereas now, Mario Kart through the streets. Yeah. Mario Karting in real life through the streets. Singing karaoke, going to a nude sauna with a bunch of other men and sitting with your bits out.
I've been looking forward to that.
And just really taking it all in, taking that atmosphere in.
I wouldn't be allowed. I'm not allowed in the bathhouses because of my tattoos, apparently. That's what I heard.
Oh, well, that's possible, I guess.
Yeah.
I think it's all right if you're a Westerner.
Yeah. Well, you would think that'd be a little more forgiving.
So anyway, all of this you know, and all this potential is now being condensed down to you walk to a certain place, you do your work, you walk back from that place. Maybe you're driven to it'll be like doing a double quarantine. It actually sounds fucking horrible. You do quarantine twice.
Yeah.
The first half you'll be working,
Yeah.
and then the second half you won't be working.
Yeah.
You'll be losing all the money that you made in the first half because you're not working, thus making the earnings much less, much less beneficial for you. And really, it sounds all bad now.
Yeah. Well, let's
not forget the travel.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You got to wear a mask for fucking 18 hours or however long that trip is.
Well, not to mention the fact that I could catch COVID.
Well, no, they're pretty good over
Well,
here.
yeah, but I'm still more likely leaving the country and getting on planes and going through airports.
Yeah, sure, more likely. Well, I reckon you're more likely getting it at MIQ
on the way back
when you get back. To be honest.
Yeah, well, still going to do it though. Here's why: because it might still have some fun aspects. I'm sure that we'll have some crew parties or something like that. What the fuck else we're going to do?
It'll be an
experience. What the fuck else we're going to do in there? And then.
Definitely be.
Also, though, this is working for a big major broadcaster that does all of these events, and so if I can get in there, I could be their new guy that they use for these events, and I could regularly be going overseas in the post-COVID world, post-COVID recovery world, and keep those contracts alive. So I'll do that for sure. I'll go on an adventure. Count me in. I'll take my laptop, do some work.
Well. You'll need to do something in that. That's going to be a real hamster wheel situation.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It will be quite tough. 2 weeks of isolated working, and then 2 weeks of sitting in a hotel, followed by coming home and going to work. When is
that again? Is that June?
Late July. I leave around the 20th of July and come back around the 7th of August, but I think that's when I fly. So as in, I'll probably get back on like the 9th of August. Something like that.
Now, I guess the real question
and then I go
is,
to quarantine.
Does the world have time to completely recover and negate all these things that we've talked about within the next 3 months?
Seems unlikely. But they might, you never know. Maybe they'll start relaxing the restrictions a little at least. Because I've got to have my mask on the whole time, apart from when I'm outside or, with my own, I think just by myself and or outside.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to be okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, especially after an 18-hour flight. And I'll tell you what, I've been flying recently a couple of times down to Wellington, and I bang my mask on, of course, and all is well. All is well. Wearing my mask, no problem. But then, as we descend, I start to get a little sore in my tummy.
Your little tummy gets a little bit
I
queasy.
start getting a little bit queasy in my tummy. And so I've got to take my mask off. And both times, going there and back, I had to take my mask off, as we descended, lest I fucking vomit everywhere. And I tell you what, if I vomit everywhere, that's even if I vomit into my mask, that's still much worse, much more potential for transmission of COVID if I had it than if I just take my mask off for a little bit and can fucking breathe some oxygen, some pure unfiltered oxygen, heavily filtered oxygen, but not filtered through my mask.
Yeah, it's you're dicing with death there for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I don't envy that like at the beginning I was like this sounds like it's gonna be really cool. Now,
not so much.
Not cool. Not cool.
No, but I'm still gonna do it because that's the kind of adventurer I am. Hello, adventurer.
Speaking of
Viva
so that's
La
a
Dirt
reference.
League.
Viva La Dirt League.
Epic NPC man.
Our friend Richard was completely oblivious to their meteoric rise and success.
Yeah.
And was like, oh, what? Are they doing really well now? It's like, yeah, they're doing really well. And I subscribed to them. I wasn't subscribed, but I subscribed to them on YouTube. And I did notice that their Patreon currently is sitting at $24,000 a month.
US dollars per month.
US dollars per month.
Yeah.
Which is now, so, that's what, 100 and...
Uh-oh. He's frozen. He's just thinking for a really long time. He's just thinking for a really long time about that. Well, while we reconnect on Skype... Welcome to the show. This is the show. Great live show. Gonna go right ahead and call him back. Got the old poor network connection. Oh, hang on. His computer exploded. That's what he's just texted me. His computer exploded. In a fixable way, because I'm still live. Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, while we're talking about Viva La Dirt League... Oh, here we go. Here he is. Now, I can't hear you. Don't worry about that. And for some reason, the stream can't see you. But don't worry about that either. But that's not your end. I can see you. I can hear you.
Okay, so you should be able to hear me now.
Now, if we just refresh the stream. Okay. I think we are back. Yes, I'm just double checking, but I believe we are good. Yeah, so we're back, but your feed still gets interrupted by breakups. But obviously the quality is not very good here. Anyway, so shout out to the listeners on the live stream. That was 2 minutes that I'll be cutting out of the podcast.
Apologies to listeners on the live stream.
Yes, so we were talking about Viva La Dirt League.
Yes, and their $24,000 US per month, which is, I'm going to just do some quick maths here. So just go 24
times
12. That's $288,000 per year. Okay. $288,000 per year US dollars. So I'm just going to do a little currency conversion on that. Okay. So that's 288,000 per year equals 402,000 per year.
Just from Patreon. That's just from Patreon.
Just from Patreon. So if you think about their revenue streams as being YouTube advertisements, book advertisements, brand sponsorship deals, and brand, paying for them to advertise stuff on their thing. I think it would be We're looking at,
that's just the tip of the iceberg there. So,
and that, yeah,
they've got
yeah.
merchandising, they've got live streaming
Sorry,
revenue.
I forgot.
Yeah, lots
I
of
forgot
merchandising. Their merch does great. They've got live streaming revenue from the various live streams that they do as a team, and I guess as individuals as well. They're all monetized, presumably. They're on Instagram and Facebook, and I'm pretty sure you can get paid through Facebook nowadays.
They're getting paid through Facebook.
So there'll be Facebook income. Then there'll be the merchandising, the YouTube advertising revenue, the Patreon. And I'm pretty sure that there'll be several others because they're on all the websites, and they've actually reached the stage now, and I'm a member of it, where they've got groups dedicated just to them and just memes about them and all that type of thing. So there's one called the VLDL Squad, and I'm in it. And last time I checked, or when I joined, there was 22,000 people in there. And they're real active. Like, they're all creating memes and posting memes and talking about the latest episode and doing this and doing that, and like all like getting into the characters and all that type of stuff, and making memes within context of the characters and all that, like really blown up. And then they've got a Reddit as well. They're on Reddit. There's a Reddit place as well, and obviously they started all this, but people got into it. Someone there created that Reddit group, presumably like officially one of them, but then it obviously worked and people got into it.
So if we just calculate that, and obviously there's costs involved in running and maintaining all of these things.
Well, then you've got those crowdfunding as well, right? So when they crowdfund for films, so they got $600,000 last time they crowdfunded for a show that they want to make, that they are making.
With a
maybe.
So if we say conservatively 1.2 million per year.
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea. I think it could be a lot more than that, right?
It could,
like they did do a video explaining how much they earn, but it was ages ago. It was an interesting video, so you could go back and look at it, because they just told honestly, how much they earn per video on that, and it wasn't very much, but they're a lot bigger now. Like back then, they were. I went to their 100,000 subscriber YouTube party. They celebrated when they got 100,000 subscribers, and I was fortunate enough to get an invite back when I was in the click, and now they're at 3 million subscribers. So that's a 30 times increase just in subscribers. So whatever they were getting back then, obviously it's probably 30 times that. So it's who knows, but it's a good amount. But I mean, I do think there'll be they'll have to give them, each of them will be giving themselves a salary. So they'll get a salary, presumably, from it. And then they'll also get, and then the rest of it has to go on shooting the next episode and all that type of thing. But yeah, you have to assume they're turning over a good amount.
I guess, but we'd have to say over $1 million per year. A turnover of $1 million per year minimum.
I think that's fair.
Very conservatively speaking, which is
it's not bad.
It's pretty good.
It's not bad. I mean, they all had full-time jobs, which they quit to go and pursue that full-time. So it's obviously covering enough for 3, men and their families to and whoever they're paying for to get by. So good for them. I keep dreaming about them lately, and waking up inspired. I dream about them and then I wake up inspired. But I think it's it's my subconscious telling me to hurry up and get back on with those guys before they break the mainstream, because they haven't broken the mainstream yet, But it's my subconscious saying, "This is it, you fool. These are the most famous people you're ever going to know. You need to get back in there and get on more of their stuff before they go mainstream famous."
Mainstream famous.
Nah, common middle New Zealand has no idea who they are. You know what I mean? Like people, the average New Zealander has no idea who they are. Just like you were saying, Richard not really knowing. Like there's lots of people that I ask. I go, hey, you hear about these guys, Viva La Dirt League? And they're like, no, never heard of it, because they haven't cracked the mainstream yet. But eventually they're going to go Flight of the Conchords styles.
But don't you think is perhaps the audience, like, overall is just as big, right, as the Conchords? But it's, you know, when you say they haven't cracked the mainstream, it's actually because we, I mean, collectively, Tool Pop in New Zealand, and more specifically, Tool Poppy, the lamestream media, are just don't like literally do not cover them in the same way, even though that they're like, if by the metric audience they have garnered over this time period, as you know, being equal to any super successful in New Zealand, some on the internet, you know, TVNZ aren't doing sit down pieces with them that we know of.
But they will soon.
You know, like at the Herald and all that stuff aren't like, even though it's undeniable, they're just kind of like, oh yeah, what are you doing? Oh, your little internet stuff. Oh, that's cool. Oh yeah, we don't really cover internet stuff. We're a TV. We like TV.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, either way, they will go mainstream, I think, at some point, and maybe get commissioned to make movies, or they get their own TV show or something like that, if they want to do that. I reckon. But you know, maybe bloody HBO or somebody picks them up. But yeah, either way, that should they are very inspiring. So check those guys out, Viva La Dirt League. If you haven't checked them out yet, go onto YouTube, check out Viva La Dirt League, and you'll see what we're talking about. Kiwi guys, Auckland guys, doing great, doing amazing. I was lucky enough to be briefly in some of their projects, but basically never really much more than an extra in any of them, so I was never like a main character. Sadly.
Never made an impression.
No, I guess not. Ever the bridesmaid. I did also have an audition recently. Which I forgot to mention. So I had an audition, and it was went great, and it was for Shortland Street, and I went in there and I nailed it. Went really well. I feel like I had a good rapport with the casting director, and it was a good one. But ultimately, they were like, "Listen, Harvey, this is Shortland Street, not Short Bold Street. Now get the fuck out of my office." And I did not get the role.
Classic joke.
Did not get the role.
Classic joke. When do you think you started
when I first
joke?
Auditioned for it, the first time.
Which is like,
well, my very first one was during I Survived the Zombie Holocaust in Dunedin. But
6 years ago.
Well, that was 10 years ago.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess, yeah.
But that was 11 years ago, actually. But mostly they've been in Auckland. Shortland Street, of course, being New Zealand's premier television show.
Premier soap
opera. 7 p.m. weeknights, every night. Well, every weeknight. Yeah, the front runner. And I would love to get on it. But I didn't get it. But I am you know, getting closer. With every audition, I'm getting closer and closer to getting there, because you know, I make an impression on the whoever's running the audition, and they maybe remember me for next time. So I am circling the drain, and one day I'm going to get cast. Yeah, which is going down the drain.
One day you're going to go straight down the gurgler.
The Skype feed is fucking me off quite a lot, jumping around all over the show, making me have to fix you every 5 seconds.
You know, for people that weren't on the live feed, my computer just sporadically shit its pants and just shut down. Like everything just went black, and which doesn't happen that often, but I was asking it to do quite a lot. So while we're recording this, I'm recording the conversation with Harley, but also I was exporting a DCP for Imi the Vegan, which takes around 4 or 5 hours to create.
Probably shouldn't do that.
And I didn't want to, I'd started, I didn't want to stop, I wanted to try and get it finished. That did not happen, and the first 3 hours were a total waste of time now. And I'll have to start it all over again.
Well, good. That's good. See, that's because Emmy the Vegan, big news, has been officially selected for the Vegan Film Festival in Brisbane later this year. And I think it's in May. So check that out if you're in Brisbane. It's called the Vegan Film Festival, and our film Emmy the Vegan is going to be playing in it. So check that out, and that's exciting news. But they do, of course, require a DCP, a digital cinema package.
Well, when you say "of course," you mean extremely inconveniently, and not "of course," because festivals don't require a DCP, especially ones where you're doing a web series.
Well, they're not a web festival. They're a film festival.
So
We're submitting a film.
Is this a quote unquote film?
It's the film
version?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well,
you got to own it, guy. It's a film now. It's not. It's no longer a web series. It's literally no longer
not
even
a film to me,
not
mate.
even online as a web series. So
it's not.
It is
not
a film
to me.
That's what it is.
If you want to help out that not film, you can go on to Amazon and give it a like and a review if you haven't done so already. We've only got 11, so quite a lot of you haven't.
So go and check Emmy the Vegan, which is IMMI the Vegan, on Amazon Prime, and you can watch it and you can give it a thumbs up, and that would really help us. And give it a review, because that's what we really need. We need a review to wake the algorithm gods.
Yeah, we haven't really impacted on the algorithm in quite the same way as, unfortunately, at this stage.
Yeah.
Shame, because, apart from vegans, their DC festival requirements,
I feel like
they're a passionate bunch.
Most cinemas do actually require a DCP.
Well, does Show Me Shores?
Usually, most things require. Well, because it's not at Show Me Shores. Oh, well, it needs to be turned into a DCP. As in, so all the films will get sent in, and then they have to be turned into DCPs before they can play in the cinemas.
But who does that?
The festival does.
Well, there you go. Do they?
I guess it's part of your submission fee. I'm not sure of the specifics there, but I do know that they need to turn them into DCPs because the cinemas require it. So now we're talking about who's paying for it. So whether or not we the filmmakers need to pay for it, or the festival needs to pay for it.
I'm a little salty
but they did
about
waive
that.
our entry fee, so fair's fair. But if they do need DCPs, it's still the way it is. There's lots of cinemas that don't play. You'd think that cinemas, you just go, oh, sweet as, I'm just going to plug in my laptop and play whatever I want because it's 2021. But apparently not. Lots of cinemas don't function that way still.
Well, the other issue that we have is that we're turning it into a D that's at 25 frames per second. Most DCPs at 24.
Yeah. Well, why?
And it is because we filmed it in 25 frames per second.
Well, but what version? But what about the DCP that played at the opening night premiere of Emmy the Vegan?
Frames per second.
Well, it was fine, right? Because because
it was fine for that projector,
right?
But allegedly some have issues with that.
Because it is annoying when I watch the Guy and Harley director and star commentary of I Survived a Zombie Holocaust, and I can hear that because of some diddling around with the frames that had to be done at some point, we're both talking just a little bit too quickly, and we've got our voices just a little bit too high for the whole making of, which would otherwise be very entertaining.
Well, there was a lot of diddling around with frame rates on that film, no doubt.
That monstrosity.
For filmmakers, if you're going to shoot a film, shoot it at 24 frames, regardless of what your native country's frame rate normally wants or expects. If you want it to play everywhere internationally, with the easiest is you want to do it at 24.
You heard it here first, people, on the Guy and Harley podcast. These
filmmaking advice.
This is like a film school.
That's what I'm here to give out.
The Guy and Harley Film School.
Gone Harley Film
Yeah.
School.
So I've got a few shout outs here. Firstly,
Yeah.
I'd like to shout out to the listeners on the live stream that are tolerating our technical issues today. Thank you very much to you guys. Make sure you flick us a comment, because, oh, here we go. People are talking. On the live stream, we've got Wine-Infused Salami asks, what do you think of the China hostility towards the West, USA, Europe, and Australia? Well, thank you for that very thought-inducing question, wine-fused salami. Wine-fused salami. I wish I'd seen it earlier when you were still here. But what do I think of the China hostility? I think that I haven't really given it a hell of a lot of thought, but it does make sense that they would be expansionist and protective of their own sovereignty and all of these things. And, as one of the superpowers in the world, there's a certain amount of aggression that's required. Frankly, I can't wait until our communist overlords take over. I'm all for it. Just waiting for the day, really. No, I'm not. I don't actually want China to rule the world. I don't want them to rule New Zealand. But I haven't really given it very much thought, to be honest. What about you, Guy? Any thoughts on the China aggression towards the West? Hostility, rather, towards the West. Now, I don't even know if what hostility he's talking about. He just says there's some hostility. It might be scaremongering, for all I know. I mean, what hostility have you heard of? Are they bombing in American cities or threatening to or something,
No, I think just a general reluctance to release information around the COVID, origins.
Yeah, I haven't really heard that they've been that bad, have they?
And cooperate with WHO.
Right.
In their attempts to sort of really dig down on the source of the virus. Is about as the only thing that I've heard, and obviously no one wants to reveal their blame in
a
something
global pandemic that has
in a global
completely
pandemic
changed the world.
Yeah, that has fundamentally crippled the world's economies. No one wants to put their hand up and say my bad on that one, and killed millions of people.
Yeah.
No one wants to, so that's kind of understandable, but I don't really have an opinion except that, communism is not good a lot of the time. If you it has its benefits, of course, but if you like, and the ability to express yourself, you're probably not going to do that well.
Yeah, well, those are two different things, though. You're talking about you're associating communism with a lack of freedom of speech.
No, I'm not. I'm associating communism with China,
right? Because
they're communists,
right?
And I'm associating. So
that's just Chinese communism.
No, it's communism in general. It's communism in all the countries that currently practice communism, not just China. Is probably what I'd suggest, is that none of them have managed to do it in the way that it is presented as a good thing for people.
Yeah,
it hasn't really worked out that way for those people.
Yeah. Well, you're right. I think the big problem comes from the centralization of it all. Means that, and the idea that one person or some people make decisions.
Yep.
The problem is that these decisions are beyond the scope of human comprehension. So one person can't make a decision about logistics because their brain is not smart enough. Even a group of people can't do it. We're just not smart enough. So what needs to happen is you've got to have a free economy, and that tells you by the price of things how scarce or how valuable things are and how in demand things are. And so you don't need to do all the comprehension to figure out how all that works and exactly how much bread needs to go where. You just let the market do it. And the market says, oh, okay, well, there's not much bread here. The price of bread is really high. Therefore, if we put more bread in, we'll make money. And the people there will get what they want, which is bread. And over here, we've got too much bread. The bread's real cheap. Well, we'll take some of the bread out of that economy because we don't need as much bread over there. No, nobody's willing to pay for it. And that's how the market figures itself out. And that's where communism never works. It's all that centralization. We've got to find something in between, some sort of capitalistic, communist socialism.
Tyler Adams says that Emmy the Vegan, the film, is broken up into chapters, just like Snyder's Justice League.
Amen.
Got
Amen.
him.
Amen, Tyler.
Got him. He got
us.
He got us.
He got you because it's a film.
Well, he got me because I had to break him up into chapters.
Yeah. Well, he also says, Tyler Adams on the live stream says that he watched Viva La Dirt League, just started watching it last week, and that his jaw dropped when he saw their Patreon account. Yeah, well, me too, and that's just one little bit of it.
That's just a small piece of the puzzle. Not a small piece. I imagine in my head it accounts for 1/3 of something around that, or a quarter.
Maybe. It's hard to say because YouTube revenue is really high and they've got a great market. So every one of their videos gets millions of views, or at least hundreds of thousands of views, and they've got a great product, which is gaming products. So you can market to people who like Viva La Dirt League. You can market gaming chairs, you can market microphones, for streaming, and cameras and all sorts of technology, as well as games and PlayStations and other consoles and other shit like Marvel and other pop culture stuff. They've got an excellent niche, and that's what you need on YouTube, a great niche, because then you get paid more per click, because the advertisers are willing to spend more to get their ad in front of your video, which is not the same when you're making wank jokes about gay hobbits. It doesn't. It's just not quite. I guess the Hobbits is kind of on theme, but like our wank jokes, disgusting hairy man, and not wanking and so on. There's not very many advertisers that want to pay very much to have their ad in front of the eyes of people that are into wanking.
You are serving a passionate niche of wankers.
Well, it's true, right? So you could, for example,
very passionate.
They could put ads for like Vaseline and condoms, or maybe not condoms, if you're wanking, but Vaseline and
don't need those,
or other types of sex toys and lubes and stuff like that.
Irvine's pies.
I don't think that. Yeah. I don't think that Vaseline actually wants to be associated with wanking. I think they just have to. It's just the cross they have to bear.
They want to stick to lips only,
face lips,
lips only.
So thank you. And Dottie Pie on the live stream, the hair lover, she says hello. He or she says hello. I just assume it's a female because Dottie, but actually it's probably a guy that likes hairy guys. But shout out to Dottie Pie, whoever you are out there, you man or woman of mystery. And Tyler Adams also comments that not wanking is incredibly funny. Thank you. That's also the favorite of all of our productions. Famed director of photography Isaac Newcomb, his favorite one is not wanking. He's told me that several times. So that's good. Shout out. Go.
That's the reason they decided to collaborate with us.
Yeah.
He was won over by the not wanking.
So if you guys want to see that, go to YouTube, search for Pigville and the number 2, and you'll find our channel. And the video you're looking for is called Not Wanking. Just search for Pigville Not Wanking, and you can check that out. But if you share it on Facebook, don't fucking tag me in that shit. I'm all hairy and degrading. I'm embarrassing myself.
Well, you're hairy and
I'm just disgusting and
disgusting hairy man.
Exactly. So I also wanted to give a shout out to our 900 new subscribers on YouTube. Shout out to you guys. We're really blowing up lately with all of these people on YouTube that have this unswerving love and loyalty to the Guy and Harley podcast. So 900 new subscribers on YouTube since the last episode. We only had 132 subscribers before. Now we've got 900. We are blowing up on YouTube, and that's great news. And once we get 1,000 subscribers, and once we get 4,000 hours of view time, we can monetize. So we're currently at 900 subscribers and 900 or so hours of view time. So we're a little way away on the view time. Thanks for watching.
Well, how did we get so many subscribers?
Well, you see, I have my tricks. One of them is paying people. So the 900 new subscribers who do not give a flying fuck have all come from a website called SubPals, and it's not a place where you go to find a submissive person to dress up in leather. I was very disappointed when I went to SubPals and found out what it was.
That's what
I was looking for, obviously.
Found it. That's how you came across it in the
I was
first
looking
place.
for a submissive person, or I was going to be submissive to somebody. Actually, I wanted to get spanked on the ass while I was wearing leather, and just generally dominated and violated. And so I went to subpals.com.
Subpals.
And when I was very disappointed mid wank to realize that Subpals was actually a very useful website for getting your subscribers up on YouTube and other platforms like that. And so what you can do there is you can spend $40 US, and I was already about to spend $40 at subpals.com until I was the other Subpals. I thought I was going to be spending $40 there, but I had $40, so I thought, well, while I'm here, I might as well put the Guy and Harley podcast channel in here, and for $40 US, they promise 30 subscribers a day, I think it was, and there's 30 days in a month, and that $40 it's a monthly subscription, so you do it again next month. But if you just do it once, we'll get our 1,000 subscribers basically, because 30 times 30 was 900, and we had 132 subscribers, so I was like, sweet as, we'll do that. Well, it's grown faster than I expected. We're going to be ahead of the 1,000 at this rate, and they're all real people. That's the thing about how this works. So what's kind of interesting is that they are real people. The thing is, they don't give a fuck about us. So they are real accounts with real people who have their own aspirations, and but they do not give a shit about the Guy and Harley podcast. So the question is, why would these people, subscribe to our channel? What are they getting out of it? And essentially what Subpals does is it's a funnel, and it funnels...
Pyramid scheme.
No, it's an inverted. It's not a pyramid. It's a funnel. So what it's doing is we're all out here, all us YouTubers, and what they do is they say, hey guys, come in here, and all of you agree to subscribe to this one channel, and in return, you will get put on the train that every day you'll get subscribers too. So basically everybody subscribes to 10 channels, and then they get 10 subscribers. And everybody who gets on the train, so you subscribe to the next 10 people along, and the next person subscribes to the next 10 people along, and you are on that train, and so the next person subscribes to you, and so it continues. Now, if you want to, you can just go and do that manually for free every day. You go there, subscribe. You've got to subscribe to 10 channels, and then you get 10 subscribers back. So that's good. But what you can do instead is you can just pay $40, and they'll put you on there every day, and you don't have to subscribe to anyone. So I'm not subscribing to a bunch of people. They're just subscribing to us. And in return, they are getting 10 subscribers that are not us. And so everybody's winning, really, except for the fact that it's kind of the shitty version of the value is not very high, because these people are not going to sit around and watch our videos mostly. They're just there to get subscribers themselves, and they're not interested in our podcast. Nevertheless, the powers that be, who I better not say by name, will still monetize us if we are have matched the numbers and it looks natural enough, which 30 or 50 subscribers a day looks natural, so it's okay. If I suddenly had 1,000 overnight, they'll be like, well, what the fuck's going on here? But 30 a day over a month looks sweet as. They're like, cool, well, these guys must be making quality content, a quality podcast once a week.
These guys are brilliant. Subpals, eh?
Yeah, so don't go there if you're looking to get your ass spanked, but do go there if you're looking to get some subscribers. So next step will be to get the 4,000 hours of watch time. So if anybody out there wants to help us, just go along to our YouTube channel, search for the Guy and Harley podcast, and you can help us by watching our videos or listen to the podcast there, and checking out our back catalogue, of which there's 201 other episodes other than this one. Dottie Pie is indeed a woman from Canada. Shout out to Dottie Pie. She's just crazy. She's crazy, and she likes hairy people. So hairy men. It's just not very often that you meet a woman that's into hairy men. They do exist. But in the straight bear community, of which I belong, the straight bear community, we refer to them as unicorns, because people say they exist, but we've never seen one. A woman that likes hairy men.
You say they exist, but you've never ridden one.
Exactly. I've never ridden a unicorn. Yeah.
Well, that was really my only note, but I do think we should wrap it up. because I have to teach tomorrow.
All right. And also, and the live stream keeps jumping around every 5 seconds. Yeah, well, that's fine. We'll wrap it on up then. I did also want to give one last quick shout out to Tommy Schwela, who sent in a picture of an earbud, a cotton bud, and said that it was the stuff of nightmares, and he was referring to last week's episode in which we talked about the time I passed out while getting an STI check from a overly rough doctor who jammed an earbud down the eye of my penis and shook it all about. So thank you, Tommy.
Horrific tale.
Thank you, Tommy, for that painful reminder of a painful time in my life. And on that note, facebook.com/Guy and Harley. Patreon. We just uploaded a video to Patreon tonight, and it is saying thank you to our Patreon supporters. And of course, Tyler Adams does not get a shout out because I took too long to edit it after we shot it, and he subscribed to us afterwards. So shout out on this episode to Tyler Adams for being a Patreon supporter, and shout out to the rest of our Patreon supporters. We did just upload a video on YouTube, on the Guy and Harley podcast YouTube, and on the Pigville YouTube, just saying thank you and shouting you guys out. So go and check that out if you can, and hit subscribe if you're not already, and all that stuff. And olderfilm.com, that's another great thing you can do for us right now, is you can go to olderfilm.com and you can watch our film Older, and you can rate it on Amazon, you can rate it on IMDb. This is super helpful for us, and just watching it is helpful for us too. You can watch it on Tubi as well if you want to. That's a free option. And then also Immy the Vegan is out, IMMI. It's on Amazon Prime, so please go check that out. And just generally, please watch our stuff, hit like on it, thumbs it up, give us a Patreon support if you can afford $1 a month. That means a lot to us, and thank you for watching.
Thank you very much, everyone. And Tyler, I hope you're diligently working away on those final visual effects shots. Getting quite eager to release the short film Stay at Home. It's about being on lockdown.
There's
We've
also
all been there. Some of us are still
a film
there.
festival coming up. There's some deadlines.
There is some deadlines. Kind of get on with it.
Get that done. Get it submitted to New Zealand's biggest and best short film festival.
Yeah, although I have to say, even with someone high up in management there, I'm not sure it's
a festival film.
I'm not sure it's going to make it. I'm not sure it's a show me shorts film.
Well,
it's definitely it's a very solid horror film. It might be a Screamfest horror film.
Well, only one way to find out. And submit to Screamfest as well. Screamfest in LA, that's a good one. Check that out if you guys want to watch the Screamfest LA YouTube channel. You can go there and you can watch our film No Caller ID, and we actually get paid for that when you do that. If you search on the Screamfest LA Film Festival YouTube channel for No Caller ID, check out our film. We get half of that money.
Alrighty, guys. Well, thank you very much, and we'll catch you on the next one.